Are you ready to use science to bust some myths in the social media ecosystem?
Great Scott!
Welcome to the Social Media Lab Live, brought to you by Agorapulse, where our social media scientists experiment on real accounts to crack the code on social media success for your business. Now your hosts, Scott Ayers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Social Media Lab Live. I am Scott Ayers, the content scientist at the Social Media Lab, powered by Agorapulse, where we bust the myths, the rumors, and the stories of social media marketing with science. Today, I'm really excited to talk about YouTube Live. YouTube is one of those things for me that I'm getting pulled into. And the guy I'm going to have on here in a minute has pulled me into it a little bit more lately without him even knowing he's doing it, just by watching the stuff he's been doing on live videos. So we're going to talk all about the 5 things you need to know to go live on YouTube with Doc Rock, as he's called. I'm going to ask him what that's all about. Why is he known as Doc Rock? I didn't even get the chance to ask him that before we got started today. But I do want to know, if you're starting and watching right now, have you ever gone live on YouTube? That's an easy one to answer. Just type a yes or a no. Have you ever gone live on YouTube? Either it's maybe from your phone, just you being silly. Maybe it was in business. Maybe it's doing, something on your account. Just let them know what's your experience when it comes to YouTube Live. I think that'll help us out a little bit to kind of know where you're at and what kind of people we're talking to. And I'll bring that question up a few times throughout the show. A couple of quick housekeeping sort of deals. Make sure if you haven't tried out Agorapulse, you run over to agorapulse.com/live. You get a free 28-day, free trial when you go to that link. There's also a little coupon code. Yeah, go find it. It's like an Easter egg. Go find that code, copy it, paste it. Whenever you sign up for your paid account, which I know you're going to, you'll get your first month for free. So make sure you do that. And anytime you want to read anything we're doing in the lab, you can run over to agorapulse.com, or actually agorapulselab.com is the short URL to get you over there. Our URL is like 10,000 feet long. So that short URL is a little easier to go find, agorapulselab.com. I want to see who's saying hi to us this morning, and trying to get something off on here. Let's see, everyone. Jennifer says, hi, everyone. How's everyone's week going? Beck says, good morning and happy Thursday. She's coming to us from the future. And looks like it's 4 a.m. What are you doing? Are you still up until 4 a.m. or you just now got up at 4 a.m.? That would be a really interesting one to know. Amy says no, she has not gone live on YouTube, but she should. So maybe after this you will. And Jennifer, of course, Jennifer Watson's our social media manager. She says yes, she has gone live on YouTube quite a bit. She has. I know that for a fact. So we'll have a fun conversation today. I do want to show it, and I meant to actually have this ready. That sometimes the you're doing live video, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then you forget to actually do it. We have a summit coming up here on February 24th. It's called the Social Pulse Summit, and I'm going to pop this up. See if I do this right. See if I can get, there we go. It actually worked up. It's called Social Pulse Summit. It's all about Instagram. And the guests on this thing, look at this thing, like all the people who are speaking on this. And I'm looking over another screen real quick, just kind of show it to you. But Anne Hanley's one of the keynote speakers, Jen Herman, Carrie Gorgon. And then like the list of people speaking at it is like endless. We could just keep scrolling for days here, and lots of beautiful faces. They stuck mine way at the bottom. But there's all kinds of cool stuff that's going to be talking all about Instagram. It's a free summit for you to attend. You can sign up for that, and I think you get a month to go back and watch all of the sessions later on. So we're running this through a different setup this time around called Run the World. So there's all kinds of like cool hangouts and trying to recreate that in-person experience. Mike Alton has done a fantastic job of putting this together. So make sure you go sign up for that. It's free. Doesn't cost you a darn thing. And I'm actually speaking at my topic is going to be the science of the Instagram algorithm, just talking about how the Instagram algorithm works. So I do encourage you to go over and sign up for that if you haven't already. So now go do it. And Beck says now woke up, early bird gets the worm. Yeah, I agree with you on that. My alarm is set for 4 a.m. because I try to go to the gym. But some mornings it's like, 11 o'clock when I went to bed, 4 a.m. when I get up. Snooze, I'll get up at 6 when the kids get up. That's what happens most days for me. So we're going to get on to today's topic. As I mentioned earlier, we are talking all about the 5 things you need to go live on YouTube. And my special guest is Shawn Doc Rock Boyd, and he kind of considers himself a Swiss Army nerd, and is kind of the guy, if I want to know techie stuff about cameras and live streaming and all the gear, I go watch Doc's videos because he's right on top of all of it. And when he comes on screen here now, he's got a quite an interesting, unique look to him. Going, hey Doc, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, I just wanted to be in the party with the orange hair, so the best I could do was microfiber.
There you go. Like you got, what was that called? The towel? Remember those infomercials?
ShamWow.
The ShamWow. You got the ShamWow towel on your head.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know who Shawn is, first I want to know Doc Rock. What is that from? Why do people call you Doc Rock?
Okay, so this is kind of funny, but it stuck with me. When I was in the Army, right, the kind of people who are very particular, like their shoes is always perfect, like you're never going to get a gig that's like a mark against you.
Yeah.
For like my bed sheet header, exactly 6 inches. All my rank always perfect, shoes always perfect. No, every rule, every regulation, everything is super accordingly, and you're kind of what they call a hard charger. You were always known as a Sergeant Rock kind of person, right?
Okay.
Because that comes from like a rock soldier. And then I was a paramedic in the Army. So all of us are just called Doc because no one wants to try to remember your last name. Imagine like you're a medic and your last name is Balasabas, and then somebody's bleeding and they got to try to remember to call you by your name. No, they just say, hey Doc, come here.
Yeah.
So while I was
shout out
there,
to Rob Balasabas, by the way. But
yeah, right. So while I was working in a hospital, this lady that used to work with us, she was a civilian, but she knew that I was a DJ. So in her head, I was Dr. Rock and Roll. That's how so it was a combination of both, like hardcore soldier plus DJ. So Dr. Rock and Roll. Just I don't play rock and roll. I play hip hop and house music mostly, but the name was better than
That's
DJ Yogi,
hilarious.
which is what it used to be.
Okay. See, I thought and thank you for your service, by the way. Appreciate everybody who's done service in the military. I live literally like 10 minutes from Fort Hood. So I've seen soldiers my entire life. Right there on the back. Yeah, I'm on the other side of it, of Fort Hood. I grew up like a mile away from the impact zone of Fort Hood. So that was always awakening at night at 2 a.m. Yeah, I always thought Doc Rock was like a DJ name for you, so it's kind of interesting to hear the wole background of it.
It is. It's technically
sure.
You're correct.
Technically, it is. So tell us a little bit, like, what is your if your 30-second elevator pitch on why in the world I should listen to this guy with a ShamWow towel on his head, talking about YouTube Live? Like, what have you done in YouTube Live, and why should we listen to you?
Well, first of all, I started streaming when streaming was brand spanking new. Like my first ever video capture device was called the Radius Rocket, and the video was 240 by 320. It was a tiny little postage stamp. I was an early tester for that. I used to early test for 3DO. Almost went to go work for Macromedia before Adobe bought them, which is now, a Flash, but back in the day it was called Macromedia Director. So I've been in the audio video space for a long time. Was a radio DJ, TV personality. Also my family, we actually owned an electronics store, so we sold broadcast gear forever. So when streaming came out, I had an advantage of, one, I had equipment, two, I knew how to do the video stuff. It wasn't, I grabbed the camera, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to make it all work. Like I understood what YouTube was asking for, or, Justin TV or Ustream or Livestream, whatever old platforms we were on, Real Player. I knew what they were asking for because I used to actually, use the cameras, but also wrote code towards video. So like I get the inner workings. So the technical side have very much down, but which was different for me from most of the people that were doing it. I was in front of the camera and behind the camera. So I know both aspects of it.
Very good. Justin TV. Those were the old days right there. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy old.
And yeah, you start thinking back, like how long you've had live video or played around with it, and you realize, okay, maybe I have been addicted to this before anybody else even knew.
Time.
Yeah, before it was a thing. Like some of us have been playing around with it way before even Blab, even.
Yep.
Because Blab kind of got everybody thinking about it more in marketing. But yeah, a lot of us were doing it even before that, for sure. So what we're going to do today, if you're just hopping on and watching, we're going to talk to Shawn here. Should I call you Shawn or Doc? Which one do you want me to call you?
Doc is more normal. If you say Shawn, I feel like I'm in trouble with the law again. I mean,
hey now. Yes, I'll call you Doc. So we're gonna talk to Doc about some different things about the 5 things you need to know and need to have in order to go live on YouTube. So if you have any questions throughout, be sure to ask them, and we'll try to get to your question. We'll get into some geekier stuff as we go. That the conversation will get a little bit geekier and techie, I'm sure. But we kind of just want to knock something out right out of the way, because maybe there's somebody's watching, like somebody said they'd never gone live. I think it was Amy earlier. She'd never gone live on YouTube. Why go live on YouTube? Why not just do it on Facebook?
Well, let me handle this the easy way first. Facebook live streaming is semi-problematic in the sense that, okay, for instance, I myself, maybe most people are different, but I do a lot of ambient listening. I'm forever listening to you while I'm cleaning the kitchen or doing something else, right? And so one of the advantages of YouTube is YouTube's built into the 65 in the living room, right? So I can just pop you on and you're on. I can be cleaning the house, doing whatever, keeping the other person in the house happy, but I can hear you and I'm listening, whatever. If I want to chat, I can go bust up my little media keyboard and type something in and go. In Facebook, if say I'm on my mobile, if something happens on the phone I need to tend to, an alert, a call or something, Facebook shuts down, boom, gone. Then you got to go back, and half the time when you go back, the audio is missing. I'm a nerd. I know how to fix that. Other people necessarily don't. So they just feel the stream's broken. They don't know that it's the Facebook mobile app on iOS is horrible, capital H. So I like the fact that it plays in the background. If I got to answer an email or tend to something or text someone, like I can still be in the conversation, swipe right back over, and then continue to ask questions. It's just, the Facebook app's broken. Let's start there.
Yeah, that's a whole other set of problems for sure. And of course that's why I'm less mobile probably than most people this day and age. Like I'd like to do everything on desktop if I can, the way I don't have to worry about the phone getting in the way or getting hard to watch stuff. But have you found, because you go live a lot in like your Facebook groups and a lot of other places, do you find the community on YouTube is different? The conversation's different? What does that look like for you? Because I went over to your channel earlier, and I'll post a link to the Doc's channel later on YouTube. But you've been going live on YouTube for quite a while. What's the audience like compared to the two?
So here's a funny story. Like I absolutely love going live to both places, right? And it was great. Recently, though, I started doing like YouTube is YouTube, Facebook is Facebook. And the reason why there is some intersection between the two sides of the group. However, I find there's way more engagement as far as like questions and stuff on the YouTube side. The problem with Facebook is because I was going in not only with my group, but it would also go to your personal page as well.
Yeah,
I get my friends and their dumb jokes sliding into into the comments.
Yeah.
And Facebook is a little mean when it comes to avatars streaming in from your group. Even if it's people who've already streamed to you many times, commented, you'll come up missing. And it's not restream. It's Facebook. You know, and I'm like, come on. So I know that their marketing guys at Restream are working on Facebook, trying to get them. Like, if the people signed up for this person's group, they accept and they expect that person to be able to see the comments. Like, why are you blocking it? But Facebook, you know, they got a little heavy-handed. So yeah, I just find the community just interacts a little bit differently in YouTube, and I think they're more engaging. Facebook people are just there. They happen to be on Facebook. They happen to see you, and then they come in and then they dip. They don't necessarily stay.
Yeah, and that's true. You were talking about, and I'm grabbing the link, and that's why I'm looking to the other side over here. Yeah, Facebook makes it like, because groups, we know groups on Facebook are so hot. They're where everybody's growing community and stuff like that. But the chat has always been hard to pull on here, and so it took, like, Restream actually does have it fixed now, and I do use Restream.
Just updated a week ago.
I just posted the link in the chat wherever you're watching. If you're watching on a Facebook group, or actually wherever you're watching, just go click that link, give the permission. The next time somebody uses Restream to do their live show like I am, they'll be able to pull up your conversations. But yeah, they make it hard. Like, Facebook really wants to make it like you got to jump through hoops to do anything over there. And so, yeah, I see where YouTube's a lower barrier perhaps to get people to come over. And people are, you know, on YouTube, like here, for example, I'm going to say this wrong. L-E-C-E-O way. I don't know if I said that right. Alicio way, maybe. Content ecosystem.
It's technically Alessio, but
okay.
Alicio, that's how we say it.
So sorry if I apologize, said that wrong. But the interesting about you, this is a YouTube comment. You can't tell that watching here on Restream because it just shows the avatar, which is kind of cool. But their names are different, you know, on YouTube. Yeah. Typically, you're talking as your channel on YouTube. Where if you want to talk on on Facebook, any Facebook Live, it's as a person like Jennifer here. It's your personal profile. So you may not, like you said, you may not want all your family and friends seeing you, you know, talking in some live, especially something like I was in a live yesterday. I always try to hop in everybody's live that I know and just add some comments. I may not say for the whole thing on Facebook, but my feed of people watching, either who follow, like my wife, for example, she's like, why are you commenting on that? Why did you say that? She didn't know the context, you know, of the silly conversation that's going on. And so Facebook sees that, your Facebook friends see that, where on YouTube, you don't get that same sort of, you know, odd crossover between everybody, what's going on in your life. And I think it's where YouTube's so different when it comes to, that. Have you found building community on YouTube Live hard?
No, it's actually, in a way, it's easier. And I'll see, it's such a weird thing, because you end up building the community in Facebook.
Yeah.
But okay, first of all, one thing that YouTube adds that you just can't do is if you at the point where your channel is large enough and things like that, you can actually monetize the ones that's on YouTube. For Facebook monetization, the barrier to entry is like insane. It's kind of crazy. But yes, you can build community, and I'll do things like double. So for instance, on Friday when I was on JWatch's stream, I was jumping in questions on both Facebook and YouTube, probably confusing her and Caitlin. But I think one of the things is I had some friends who were watching on the Facebook side and some friend who was watching on the YouTube side. And so I ended up going to both. But yes, I do believe that you can foster community, because one of the things that you can do on the Facebook side, on the YouTube side, once you get to a certain level, is you can enact memberships.
Right.
And so memberships are cool because you can make it cheap. It can be like $2-3 a month, but it gives people, you know, special emojis, special badges when they do things. Yeah, the interaction is just different. It's just different. It's kind of hard to say.
And you kind of, you know, led us into like the next thing I want to kind of ask you. Like, if I want to go live on YouTube, and I'm using Amy as our example because she said she hadn't, so we're trying to convince Amy to go live on YouTube before we're done here. Maybe one of Doc will be a guest on your show. Just put you out there. Like, are there minimum requirements that my channel has to have to even go live? So I know sometimes uploading, you've got to be
Once
there
you
for
set up
a
your
while.
channel, you have to confirm your channel is really you. That takes like a day, and then the next day you can go live.
See, I thought you were going to talk longer. I was taking a drink off camera. Yeah, and it's sweet tea. It's just that my boss doesn't know. But yeah, so yeah, it's it. It's actually pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to
Very
it.
simple.
Now, there's no limit on the time your live has to be or
Oh,
can't be.
brother, you don't even know. My crew is famous for who gets the 5-hour energy badge. Right.
I
So,
seen that. I saw one that was like 7.5 hours. I'm like,
bro,
what?
we go long.
Yeah.
Well, because we're doing question and answer, and
Yeah.
my point is, if you got a question, I'm going to answer it. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah, to the best of my ability, I should state. But so when we do Q&A streams, sometimes they just go that long because we want to give value to our people and make sure they get all their questions answered. And I know, like, you're a branded thing, and you know you're at work, so you got other things you need to do. So I get
Right.
the tight window, but when we go for QA streams, we literally try to stay there and cover everybody's questions. And we're friends, so we tend to go off the rails. let's not get it twisted.
But so if I'm a brand new channel, I've verified who I am, I can go live and there's no limit on the time.
Nope.
Because there is a limit if you were to upload a video, though, right?
Correct.
In the beginning, like it's still, you have to be there for a while before you can upload more than 15
it takes
minutes,
you a while
20
to
minutes,
get
whatever
15
it is.
minutes, yes.
Yeah.
But you're right. And that's one of the great advantages too. If you have a longer demonstration, something you want to dive into a little bit more deep, and maybe that's how you do it, Amy. You keep your Facebook streams going and they stay the hour that they are, but you want to do something a little bit more deep, bring it to YouTube and then go long.
Yeah, and Rob Balasabas is famous for that. Mentioning him again, someone needs to tag Rob in the comments. But like he would use, I don't think he's doing it right now, but he would have live and everywhere, and then say, "Hey, I'm going just to YouTube now. If you want to keep talking, let's go over there." And he'd cut the stream off for everything else, and that's kind of a cool thing to do.
That is
because it helps grow that channel
following. Yeah, if you have a big Facebook following, that's the trick. You sort of move them over, and that's what I did. I was using restream, and then I tell everybody, okay, now we're going to go YouTube only. And it allows me to do some things that this Facebook doesn't do. And I stream in 4K. So like Facebook really, I mean, I get the whole planet's using the internet and blah. It's kind of a BS story that they drop.
Yeah.
But forcing me to 720 in 2021, come on, Facebook. Seriously though.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you ever do look at, like, I do our live stream for my church, and we use a combination of the software for our slides plus OBS through Restream, and I'll look at the feed back and forth between YouTube and Facebook, and YouTube is so much better. And it's always interesting to me to see that how different it is between the two of them. What's happening? Somebody got his name. He knew his name come on there, so he knew he had to hop in. Good to see you, Rob.
His ears were burning. They
were burning. We mentioned his name twice. He automatically came over.
If you say it one more time, he's like Beetlejuice. He'll show up.
There you go. Oh, let's try that. He'll come all the way down from Canada. Yeah. So basically, if you want to go live on YouTube, just get your channel verified, and you can go. I actually started a newer channel here recently with my show I do with the Restream called Live Stream Labs on Mondays, and literally I have no followers hardly on the thing yet, but I want to go ahead and start setting it up. I want to go ahead and start getting some videos out there, and it took me a day, and I was good to go. And the cool thing is, I had Scott Simpson on that show Monday. You can take your live video and then go in and start editing out stuff right inside YouTube.
Yep.
I don't have to download it to Camtasia or whatever software you use. I can take out all the little stuff where I'm talking to the audience. If I want to make a shorter video that a replay viewer might want to watch, you can do it all inside YouTube. You can't not do that in Facebook, which is so fun. I mean, Facebook, all I can do is trim the beginning and the end. I can't take out segments.
Well, you can make clips in the middle.
Well, you can, but
something's about to be hot. But it's still they're
independent videos, kind of, which is weird, and it's not that one video. So yeah, YouTube definitely has some advantages there. I think most of us, especially in our space, I mean, in the social media marketing space, we've been so Facebook focused. With live in YouTube, just sitting over going, hey, look at us.
Okay, so here's one more secret sauce that no one thinks about, and this is for all you marketing folks. All of that hard work and dedication and conversation that you had in Facebook, all of the good comments and stuff that you had in Facebook, go search for that in Google. You get nothing.
That's true.
Nada. Next 9, nada. because YouTube auto captions that conversation that we're having right now about going live in YouTube versus Facebook. If someone were to search going live in YouTube versus Facebook, probably in a couple of days, this could show up in the search results.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you've got a good thumbnail and all those other things, you can show up and suggested, recommended.
That's some two-buddy game right there, because Rob showed up. I just had to throw that in real quick. And I'll take time to take a drink.
Yeah, use TubeBuddy. And you got the mug ready to go too there. So there you go. Appreciate that there, Rob. So we've talked about why you should go live on YouTube, because it's a better platform, it seems like, for live. It's clearer picture. You've got a lot more options. There's people there that aren't on Facebook. I know in the live show that I do for Restream on Mondays, most of the audience is YouTube. They're YouTubers talking, not Facebook, which is new for me. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. They talk a little different than the Facebook people and stuff. They also know everybody's not going to see their comments.
Says the guy from Texas.
I know. I talk way different.
And they talk a little different, and I got me some sweet tea over here.
It is very sweet tea from Sonic, which is my daily. I don't drink coffee, but I drink a lot of sweet tea. I like a little tea with my sugar is usually what I say. All right, so now we know we want to go live. How do you plan out your live videos? What do you do? Do you have some resources? What's your thought process typically to make sure your show goes right?
Okay, so I use a tool from Stephanie Liu called Video Script Maker. And I can send you the link and then you can go and grab it. But it's really cool because it gives you a Google Sheet and it basically tells you what to do. And it says, here's your hook. So you type it in, and then this is what you're going to talk about, your 3 points, just like we're doing today. You got your 3 major points. You put that in. Then you're going to have maybe a spot where you put in your break, your reads, remind you to go to Agora Pulse Summit, and remind you to go and check out some other things, remind you to check out, another website or something. Then you come back, reiterate those 3 points, thank your guests, tell everybody bye. Like, it's all laid out. So you basically just plug in values. This was perfect for me because I would just go live willy-nilly and I would have fun, but it's so much better when you do that run a show. So if you go to Video Script Maker, I only know my link to it. I don't know the general link to it. So if that's okay with you, I can just tell you what it is.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's docrock.live/VSM for Video Script Maker. And you seriously just plug in a bunch of values and then it works. And somehow I feel like Stephanie is giving me like the stink eye. That's what we call it in Hawaii when they give you that stern mom look to make sure you stay on this. Do not get goofy. Do not deviate.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get slapped by her. So I just follow that to the letter. And you can print it out. You can look at it on your screen. Like, it's a game changer. It's so much a game changer.
And we love Stephanie Lynn. Make sure we tag Stephanie for sure. And I think a run of show on ROS, as a lot of us will call it. I've been using one for the most part on my live shows that I got from Owen Video for almost 2 years now. I use it. Now I will admit that because I've done this show, especially, for 2 years or so, sometimes I don't use it. And I already
because you have it in your head now. If you're new, trust me, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. Get yourself, if you're brand new, get a runner show. Matter of fact, I believe Rob just did a runner show stream a couple days ago. But it's a game changer. If you're brand new or you're just getting into streaming, go grab yourself a runner show tool from someplace.
Yeah, because I think, even if it's just, something to show you, a spreadsheet to have to know, all right, here's my hook. Here's my intro. I'm playing this video now. I'm posting this link, like put it all on there. And yeah, it probably means while you're going live, you're going to look over at another tab. Like right now, I'm not even looking at the Restream Studio. I'm looking at something else on my screen, but you don't know that. But you're gonna have to look over and get used to that sort of looking back and forth. And that's okay. People don't care.
In the beginning, nobody cares. If your information is solid, there's so many like crazy talk about various things that crack me up. Like, for one of my favorite ones is, make sure you get the mic out of your shot. No, right now, leave that sucker in there. Why? You know why we sound good? Because our mic is
right here on top of it.
You know what sounds really bad is when the mic is all the way back there, and then you find yourself trying to. I mean,
and I struggle with that too, because I get this big scissor arm. Okay, where do I put it? I've moved it around on my desk a couple of times to kind of get a little bit less of it. And I used to have it further up, and lately I've moved it down here, and I like it like this better.
So do I.
But the audio, we'll talk about equipment here in a little bit. Yeah, audio is so important. That run a show though, when I had to go solo and do this show by myself last, spring or so, man, without the run a show, I'd have been lost. Like I did not, I didn't necessarily read off of it, but I wrote it all out and I kind of would just say what was in there. And then I know, okay, all right now, what's next? I didn't have to do
here's
that.
the thing. Even if
was,
you don't read it, if you don't read it, because you wrote it, you know what it is.
Right.
Like whether you know it or not, that sounds really weird to say, but whether you know it or not, you know what it is. Like it's in there because you've already written it out once, or 2 or 3 times if you tweak on it like I do.
Right. You don't necessarily need to memorize everything. Nope. Now, there's some people who are good at that. Some people who are really good at memorizing a hook and an intro, and they do their spiel. And I always have my opening spiel. I've said it so many times, I don't even think about it anymore. But the rest of it from there is just kind of keeping you on pace. And, some people even get a little further and they'll say, 5 minutes on this, 10 minutes on this. Like if you want to give yourself time limits.
I never do that.
I know you don't, but some people, do. Like you've got to guess, you've only got them for 45 minutes. You've got to make sure you get through your stuff, or, you're like, oh crap, we're at 40 minutes after the hour and we're not even on question 2 yet. Yes. So the run a show helps out so much. Now, what I do, my little trick, because I use, and we'll talk, like I said, we're going to talk about software here next, but I use Restream's Live Studio, and I'm going to go ahead and pop that over since that's the next thing we're talking about. I use Restream's Live Studio because it doesn't require me to have any software on my Mac. And I am a Mac guy now, which is hard for me because I was Windows for my entire life. So I'm still mourning the loss of my laptop. But
I've always been bihexual.
There you go. I'm not going to repeat that, but yeah, I get you.
Software is written in hex code.
I know,
get it?
I
Yeah,
get it. I get
That's a stupid old joke of mine for years.
That
The
is,
first
that
is
is
to
true.
freak people out.
Well, good for you. But yeah, so I mean, but what I do is I use Restream's Live Studio, and they have this captions option. And every live studio has some sort of option like this. You call them maybe the overlays or the third, the lower thirds. I can move them around and reorder them. I put mine in order. And so I just look at that now, and it's basically my run a show. I did even the stuff in the very beginning we did where I put the links out for this and that. I just boom, boom, boom. I'm going through it. I know what my next question is, my next thing is, and I know what my last thing that I do every show. I'm done. It's my run of show without actually having the actual spreadsheet in front of me anymore. The way I can still pay attention to the comments and that sort of stuff. So, software. What if I want to go live on YouTube? Can I just go live natively, or do I need other stuff? What is that?
Theoretically,
what's your minimums, maybe?
Okay, minimum straight up, you can go directly to YouTube with nothing. You could just use this, your phone and go direct. I like to use either or both. In many cases, both. I either use Restream and Ecamm, or Restream or Ecamm. When I use Restream is when when I know for a fact I'm going to have more than my 5 guests, which is what my 4 guests plus me 5. 5 is what I can do in Ecamm. Restream will let me do 10.
Right.
And when Patty and Anya are paying me to do it, then I use Restream. That was a joke, Patty. Don't get mad. Manchester United, by the way.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, Patty's a Manchester fan, so we're already tight. We're good. But yeah, I just think there's something really cool about taking an application like Restream or like Ecamm and just fire it up, and without even a camera, you can plug this phone into, say, Ecamm, and Ecamm will read this phone, and I can put it on a tripod, lean it up against some books, use a couple pots and pans, whatever you need to do to make it straight, and you are ready to go. You don't have to do anything other than that. Is it nice to have, a nice camera and a nice microphone? Also, why, certainly. But do you need it? Not necessarily. You can dive in now and then see if you like it, see how you handle it. Get your first 30 streams out so that your lips just work when they're supposed to. I would say dive in.
Yeah, I think you got to figure out what works for you and what and there's, like, I saw somebody like Beck a minute ago said that they use StreamYard. I use Restream. There's other ones out there. Now there are some differences in like hard software on your computer versus cloud-based sort of stuff. Yes. Ecamm kind of has a mix of that right now, but Ecamm is something you would download for Mac only, and it lets you do a lot of really cool stuff. Like the one thing I still have not done yet, it's It's sitting on the floor. I have a little Stream Deck that I still want to use and have yet to use it because I'll have to go through Ecamm or to use it inside the live studio here. And I haven't gone that route with the virtual camera yet to do it. But
I'm using virtual camera right this very instant.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So like, if I had to go to the bathroom, I would just hit one of these buttons real quick, and then I would go to the bathroom, and then I would come back and be like, "Sorry, Scott, I had to go." You know?
But yeah, so I mean, software wise, I mean, you would recommend getting something, trying something out, maybe cloud based first, that we don't have to learn as much, maybe.
I think the learning levels is identical. I think that is a sort of misnomer because nowadays software is easy. The hardest one in the game is always going to be OBS, and that's just because there's not a real company behind it. It's open source, so it has many like forks and bifurcations. But that doesn't make it impossible. Like I did OBS for a long time, but I originally started on Wirecast Pro, but Wirecast Pro was $900. And I was like, oh, I want to spend more money on orange wigs. So much for that $900. I get Ecamm and game over. But yeah, there's, you know what? I'm with Brian Fanzo. Just press the button.
Yeah, right.
You know, just do it. And then once you start to find what you like, you will find your groove. For sure. It is.
Yeah. I think it's definitely true. I mean, for me, I mean, I used Be Live for a really long time. I've used StreamYard. I started using Restream's Live Studio when it came out, and I was like, okay, it just fits my personality. I got the flow down. I'm good now. But I do think there's some things you can do with some of the actual outside software on your system that might enhance it as you advance. As you get a little more advanced.
That's the key. That's the key.
You might look at a vMix, or because we used to use vMix with Owen. He did vMix through it, and then of course I think we'd vMix, and then we went through something else, Restream or something, to put it over to our channels. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff he did in vMix that blew my mind. You know, I'm like, oh, it was way over my wig. But most people just got to start out somewhere. So yeah, play with different software that you like. That would be the minimum. But yeah, you don't have to have it. As Doc said, you could just go live. Now, can you go live on the desktop on YouTube? Without, I don't have anything.
No, you need to have something to plug
in.
I
was trying to think. It's like I've got it. Actually, there is Doc.
Oh yes, because there is a web camera now. Yeah,
there's a go live option. I'm looking at because I've got your channel pulled up. Yeah, there is a go. Yeah. I'm not going to push it right now because I may break this. But
you absolutely break it. But yeah, now because the web and camera stuff works with Chrome and the other browsers, you can use your standard camera. You don't have to use. It was always bad to go that way at first because you had no flexibility, but now they've even added some flexibility there. There's actually a YouTube Studio now, which
YouTube Studio is awesome.
Allows you to get in and do some things. And thanks, Deb, for putting it in because I couldn't say it out loud.
You could have. It's okay. Fans will be on my show in a couple of weeks, so yeah,
nice.
I'm sure he'll say it more than once. But yeah, so you could go live on the thing. Like if you go live, like even going live on Facebook, like I've done that sometimes just in the platform, and I'm like, oh, I hate my life because there's not a lot you can do with it. I couldn't bring in comments. I couldn't do any overlays, and I don't think you probably can't do that. You know, unless you're using a virtual cam sort of setup, you're not gonna be able to do any extra stuff. Just gonna be you, and that's it.
The ability to bring in comments is such a game changer. Whether you're using Ecamm or vMix or StreamYard or Restream, like that one thing alone is something that OBS now there's ways to do it, but before you couldn't do it. You had to just have that running ticker on the side, and it's not the same thing. It's something about pulling in the comment and saying, happy to see you, Amy. Amy's like, what? Oh, he said my name. Scott knows my name.
I know. Yeah.
That's probably not what she said. She probably was Scott.
But I think that's true. I think that's why I've always liked having some sort of software to pull in the comments. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier, like why should you go live on YouTube? Bring in that community. People want to see their faces. They want to see their something they said caught that person's attention, especially, if you've built up an audience or you're a bigger channel, man, you make someone's day, sometimes by putting their comment up on there.
100%.
So it's a huge, and even like I'm not using on this show, but on Restream does have an option here. And actually let's just do it real quick and then I'll mess everything up. Like I'm going to turn this overlay chat on for a second. So y'all start saying something. Just start saying hi, whatever. And this will pop on here. Like, let's just look at me. And the comments will come on there. So like I'm in Restream's live studio. This little chat overlay thing is super cool. Because you can have a conversation and everybody can see it. So if you're on YouTube, you're on Twitch, you're on, wherever else, Periscope, whatever you might be doing, you'll be able to see everybody's comments all in one spot. Like Doc just went and commented on YouTube and you can see the difference. So that's a cool part of Restream that they have. I don't know if anybody else has that yet at this point. I haven't seen it yet anyway.
No, it's brilliant.
I love it because I'm thinking too, like for me, I've used it on my shows a lot to do trivia. And so I'll say, all right, first person to answer the question gets this right. Maybe the first two, or maybe I'll pick from one because I do know there's a lag between Facebook and YouTube. Sometimes Facebook users are seen a little bit later than the YouTube watchers, so you kind of have to know that. Greetings from Alabama. Yeah, good Alabama. And so I'll use this for trivia, and just say, all right, everybody, I'll start answering the questions, and I'll pick the first two or one out of the three. But that's a cool little feature. You cannot do this on YouTube's desktop. There's no way to do it. You can't do it on Facebook's either. But I love this here in Restream. Of course,
you know what that's good for?
I should have changed my overlay so it's not covering my head up.
No, it's good for like you said, when you ask questions and stuff like that. On
right.
Friday, Jay Watts was asking questions about like when the National Weather Service started, and it was actually was it 1870? Like yesterday. Yesterday was their birthday. Like
she'll correct us if she's still watching you.
No, I think that was the right answer. But yeah, anyway, it's just one of those things that I think is really cool how you can do that interaction. You can be quick with it,
right?
And get it out. And yeah, it's quite.
I think it's a cool way if you are even if you're not multi-streaming, but if you are multi-streaming through different platforms, man, to be able to everybody to see the conversation coming from everyone. Like I was watching, I don't remember whose show it was now. I think it was one of Ian's show, Ian Anderson Gray, and he had the conversation pulled up. I'm on Facebook watching it, but I'm replying to the person on YouTube. I just made sure I mentioned their channel. Hey, at Doc Rock, I think, and they replied back because we knew we could see it.
That's cool.
So yeah, I love stuff like this. And I think software is where that kind of comes into play. And I see everybody saying how neat. I'll take it off now, but it is a fun little feature depending on how you're using it and what you do. Now, other than something like a Restream or an Ecamm, what other software might you need to go live on YouTube? Anything else that you use daily or weekly?
You're gonna laugh. I swear to you, this is no plug, but this is the answer. Okay, Mike Alton. I use Agorapulse to make sure people show up.
I did not give Doc these questions before we went live.
No, you did not. And it's funny because it's right here on my tab. If I get my glasses close enough, you can see because I have stream on Saturday, I have a stream on Thursday. I go in, Canva, whatever you use. I use a combination of Illustrator and Canva. I use Illustrator when I'm on my desk because I'm 100 times faster when I'm on the road. And I like, oh snap, I forgot I was supposed to do XYZ. I could go to Canva real quick and be like, this week on Let's Get Live, I'm bringing on Scott Ayers. Get your orange wigs ready. Get your sweet tea. Let's do this. Throw up a picture of Scott, and then boom, press a button, and then send it to Agorapulse. And then what it would do is it would drip to the places I needed to drip to. It would drip to IG. It would drip to Facebook. It would drip to Twitter, and yeah, I mean, it's a game changer. And again, no plug intended. Like Mike didn't pay me to say that yet.
I didn't either.
But it is a game changer. It completely makes your life easier. So I would say a combination of something that allows you to make really speedy graphics on a mobile device and some sort of post scheduler. I happen to have a favorite because my favorite color is orange, and
mine too, obviously.
Just saying. I'm just saying. And it will change your life. Even if you're using the free version, just so you can manage what you're doing. Like, knock yourself up.
Yeah, Well, I appreciate that. And Greg said we didn't ask Doc to say any of that. Now we owe him a sandwich or something.
Do I eat a lot? Come on, dude.
But
Actually,
yeah,
here in Texas, I want brisket.
there you go. Rudy's Barbecue right around the corner from me. Yeah, I mean, so you got to have something to do your live stream with, some software to do it. I prefer Restream. Have something to do your scheduling and keeping up with your comments after the shows. You can do all that in something like Agorapulse. Now, you mentioned Canva. You mentioned Illustrator. I'm assuming you're using those probably for your thumbnails. Is that where you make your thumbnails for your videos?
Thumbnails, IG post, like just standard drips for Facebook or whatever. Yeah, it's just because they're really, really quick. Like, I just find them super, super easy. Yeah. I hated Canva. Let me just throw this out there real quick. I hated Canva with a passion. And then, like a couple of months ago, Alicio was like, I want to use Canva and I want to know how to do this thing and I can't figure it out. I was like, okay, I'll download the trial just to show you because I'm a graphics person, so I can generate that on the fly. So I'm in there playing with it, and I was like, yo, Canva done grown up. Look at him now. He's cute, like 10 years old, know what he's doing now. And
yeah,
Canva got better. And so I just, you know what, I'm gonna just go all in because it does some things. It does animations. You can do your YouTube thumbnails, your YouTube intros and outros. Like, it has grown up an awful lot. So that's why I picked it. I want to dive in and mess around with Easel some because I, play with
heard good stuff about them. Yeah,
I heard a lot of good stuff about that, and that's one of the crew. Like, I see her at all of the things, so I'm like, I'd love to give her props as well. But yeah, you just need something that would allow you to spit out timely oriented graphics. Like, okay, so say I have Scott coming up on my show on Saturday, and something happens in the news today that reminded me, of him coming to the show. And I'll be like, oh, Syracuse had this amazing wins. Syracuse is called the Orange Men. Speaking of Orange Men, coming this Saturday, we're going to have Scott. It won't just come to me like it's some random thing. I can make that post. I don't like Syracuse, by the way. Notre Dame, all the way. Golden Domers. Touchdown, Jesus. Yeah. Anyway, that was just the point.
Sticking Bears. I'm a Baylor guy.
You can do so much with that, and it's a good way to get that conversation going pre-show. It's a good way to keep that conversation going after show. The one thing I would add to that list is, thank you, Deb, Team Easel. The one thing I would add to that list, Clubhouse. After shows, pre-shows and after shows on Clubhouse is the dopest way to grow your channel, grow your live streams, and get your community engagement way up. And people are sleeping on it because there's so much rubbish happening there. Yeah. But just sort through the rubbish, make you a nice little clean spot, and then knock yourself out. Game changer, fam. Game changer.
We won't dive into Clubhouse in this show because we don't have another hour or two. But I do think there's some use. I know Deb is doing a lot of cool stuff on Clubhouse, and Jennifer as well. I'm not in it at this point. I'm an Android guy. So haven't really given it much thought at this point, but maybe down the road. I know.
You guys are coming up in May, so you don't have that long to wait. You only have a couple.
Well, now we got the new Mark Cuban thing he's going to play around with, so we'll see.
Yeah, that might be a big deal too. Oh, real quick, again, no plug for them, but just I know a lot of people are, working in special situations. If you are a healthcare worker or a teacher, you can get Canva Pro for $395.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Oh, nonprofit as well. I just found that out recently.
Very cool. If you're just hopping on, we're talking with Doc about why 5 different things you need to know or do to go to YouTube and go live.
You think I'm Scott Simpson? I'm not that cute.
Oh, I clicked the wrong one. Oh, you're not that cute yet. Oh, so I see. There's okay. Now here's my faux pas there. Sometime I guess I didn't. I told you guys earlier that I use the captions here. It's kind of like my ROS.
I can be anything you want me to be. It's okay. Yeah, that's what Swiss Army Nerd is for.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why I did that. I forgot to change. I edit them. I don't delete them. I just edit my 5.
I do that all the time. No worry.
So yeah, shout out to Scott. We love Scott, fellow Texan. So yeah. So last thing, and now we could dive way into this, but I mean, what is some equipment to kind of get started other than the phone? We know you can go live with a phone. You can even put it on trial. I've actually got a backup phone, an old Note 9. That was my wife. So I'm like, okay, should I use this as a camera? Because it may be better than my webcam that I'm using. I use a Logitech C920. Kevin Colby keeps telling me your phone's got a better camera than that.
It does.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe I should do that. I have a tripod for my phone I could use. I just haven't dove into it and do it. But what kind of equipment should I look at getting when I'm starting out live on YouTube?
Okay, so if you have a decent webcam, C920, Brio, whatever, those are fantastic.
Yeah, mine's actually a Brio. I said that wrong. I do have.
If you happen to have an older phone, I don't mean too old, but say it's iPhone 7 better, or something of that, whatever that would have been Galaxy 7 too. You have a 4K phone right here. You know what I'm saying? So you like plug that sucker up. Your computer would normally see it depending on software. If not, there's apps that will help you get there. You can use NDI, which is a wireless way to get there, and use your phone because it has fantastic cameras built in. And after that, the next move would be to upgrade to something like a mirrorless or DSLR, as you people like to miscall it. But this is my Sony. This is A7. This is kind of like way up the chain, but they work extremely well because it allows you to get sort of that television look. Like you notice I have the nice bokeh behind me, and that's where I get the blurry background, no special weird tricks from Zoom that don't really work. That's natural in lens and in camera. But then my camera is also has really, really fast autofocus, something that phones and webcams don't really do. So if I popped up there, within a matter of seconds, it's focused and it's back. That's because Team Sony, Sigma 16, the focus is ridiculous. It's super fast. If you're showing product or showing things or things where you need to use your hands, there's nothing faster. I mean, it's the game. So
right.
That's the reason why you want to use something like a mirrorless camera or DSLR.
What is the one we're watching you on right now? What camera?
It's a Sony A6400.
Okay.
Pretty much any of the Sony A5100, 6100, 6400, 66, 63, 65, they all have really, really quick autofocus when paired with something like the Sigma 16 or another native lens. The reason why I'm able to pull bokeh is I have a really small aperture. I'm at 1.4 aperture. So that allows you to get that nice separation. And it's not even just the blurry background. Everyone just says that. What it really does is it shows separation. It doesn't look like I'm leaned up against my background. And people just like that because your eye does that in real life.
Right.
So that's
the reason. If I don't know what bokeh is, what is bokeh? Explain
bokeh. Bokeh is the Japanese word for blurry.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough. Yeah, I wonder what they explain. Yeah, that would be interesting for me to see what it looks like. I like, I've got depth going on back here behind me and stuff in this thing here. If I did that, I wonder if it would blur it and look weird. I don't know. I'll have to play around with that and see.
No, but see what you did, even if you don't use bokeh, you did the other thing that most people don't do that they should do is put practical lights. So your little blinkies back there next to the Hulk and the troll and all of that, those are practical lights, and they add a certain to your scene and it makes it look better.
Well, it's also my goal is, you want to kind of have a diversion. You kind of want people to look around and say, what's back there? And I move stuff around a lot. I have these changing. These are $20 puck lights on Amazon, and they're battery operated. Of course, the battery operated part is the thing that stinks, but I have rechargeable AAA batteries now that I constantly, every day I have to recharge them between a live show. But yeah, you want to do stuff like this if you can. Not everybody can. But yeah, that's something to do. A couple of questions on cameras real quick. And Chris Stubbs says, you're looking good, guys. Rich says Texas represents. So I'm assuming you're a Texas guy. That's cool to know. Chris asks, does the lens you use with that mirrorless make a difference?
Absolutely. The lens you use with any camera, like even the lens that they chose is the reason why this camera is so dope. And if you were to put on the case and throw on a moment lens, like a third-party lens, is even better. Like all the way back from iPhone 1, you had the little lens that you would clip on or magnet on with an Olo clip. Yeah. Like you remember Olo clips, Patrick and the gang. Hi, Patrick. Yeah, it's always been. Lens is always the case. Even your eyes. If I take the lens off, I can't see nothing.
Same with me, yeah.
I put the lens back on. So yes, the answer to that question is absolutely. Come on, hair. I haven't had hair for years, so I don't know how to work with
it. Yeah, so I mean, I think for camera, I think everybody probably tells us this, and when we talk about equipment, start out with what you got, which might be your phone. Start out with that. Maybe you move up to a webcam, and that I don't know. Of course, Kevin Colby will tell you moving to a webcam is a move down, not up from your phone. But some
Correct.
people don't have the option to not have their, to always be taking their phone off and on a tripod and all that kind of stuff. But maybe you start with the webcam. You move. Don't you? To me, I don't like using my laptop camera ever unless I can avoid it, unless I can put it at a good level.
It's because you're looking up your face, and it's just weird. You have to stack it on all the cookbooks that you haven't used.
And some people do that. Chris Strub is great at, like, he does a lot of stuff with mobile devices and iPads and stuff, and he has his up on rigs, and he can do that where most of us don't have. I'm sitting at a desk. If I were to turn this camera on, man, it's awful. It's like right in my head, and I'm bouncing it around if I'm typing. But that is a good way to get started. I then start looking at these different DSLR cameras. What's a if I'm going DSLR, because that's my next move is a DSLR.
Don't buy DSLR in 2021.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because the terminology is mirrorless now, and I know that sounds picky, but there's a big difference. If you walk in the store and tell them you want a DSLR, those idiots will sell you one because they're trying to get them off the shelf. But that technology is dead.
That's interesting to know.
If you're brand new, right? If you're brand new, you don't want that. And the Chris's question, because I was trying to find the Facebook comments real quick, but Chris, if you can let me know what camera you have, I can answer your question.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that they'd changed the terminology, so I appreciate you saying that. That's
well,
cool.
It's the technology. So the old, when DSLR, when you take a picture, it's can.
Well, yeah, I have a Canon Rebel EOS that I've had for 14 years, and my kid was born.
These don't have that mirror, so you don't have that noise. You have less camera shake. You get sharper pictures. But the number one thing that made the difference, mirrorless cameras are tiny because they don't have the room. They don't have to make room for the mirror, right? So you immediately cut the body in half by like over a half an inch. Maybe more.
Now, budget wise, like how much am I going to spend on a starter mirrorless camera? Like, what should I set aside for my income tax?
this is where we get in fights around here. I do most of the starter cameras will irritate you. So I'm
one that you would recommend starting. That's what I'm saying. Like
I would start at like the 5100 at a minimum, or like the 6100 at a minimum. And so unfortunately that's going to put you into like the $700 range. So I tell everybody right now, if you're going to buy one, don't go out and buy like a Lumix G7 right now, because Lumix G7 will entice you because it's $495, but it also came out in 2015. And they haven't touched it since 2015. And that's just a little, don't do that. The Canon M50 is a dope camera, but not really for live streaming. It works and people make it work and people do fantastic with them. However, it wasn't really a design for streaming, and streaming has gotten so much better than where that was. And it too, that camera came out at the end of 2017. So by today's standard, it's old. So what you want to do is you want to hold out and just wait until you can get to that $700-800 mark and get something of the higher level. So whether that's the Canon that's at that level, which is the R5, or you're at the Sony at that level, which would be like the 5161, or the Panasonic or the Nikon, whichever. Like I'm not going to tell you brand specific Sony, but yeah. And the reason why I say that is because number one, their autofocus is faster than everybody, which you see. And
your focus. You did that a minute ago. I was like, oh, that's fashion. I've seen the Canon.
It works really, really well in low light. They're famous for their low light capabilities, and then so. Yeah, that's what it is. And Chris brings up a really cool point. Bring the used market. Okay. I know deep in my bones that at the end of this month, I think Sony's going to drop the replacement for this camera. So that means that A6400s will be on the market for mad cheap. They just dropped the brand new A1. So that camera that's over there, I can buy used versions of that sucker all day long for mad cheap, because people just want to get some money out of it so they can buy the new one.
Right. Now,
let me answer Chris's question real quick.
Go ahead.
Because
the longer lens,
Yeah, because you have the stock lens, your lowest setting on your aperture is probably going to be either 4.0 or 3.5, and in which case you have to put the camera closer to your face and go down to 3.5, and you're going to have to inject more light. And this is the reason why I tell people be careful of the cheaper cameras, because yeah, you bought the camera for $400, but it can't do the low light. So what do you end up doing? Buying $500 worth of lights in order to get this look. When if you bought a low light camera from the gate, you can buy cheap lights and then you'll be fine. So yeah.
That's a really good. Deb says we need to have Shawn on the tell. It's Doc. We gotta say Doc. Yeah, have Shawn on the tell us when we should buy. Have a countdown. All right, buy this now. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I get that DMs all the time from Stephanie and Kelly, and Mary Fane Bryant. They're like, okay, what should I buy? And I just send them the list.
There you go. You get some commissions off that. Get your own Amazon live show. But yeah, so I mean, you're gonna have to spend $800 probably to get you a decent mirrorless camera, is what it sounds like to me. Yeah, so if you're wanting to invest in your lives, make them better, that's the way to go. But again, start with what you got, work your way up when it makes sense. Now you talked about lighting. Everybody's got different opinions on light. I'm playing around with, I've had 2 umbrella umbrella lights forever. And I've actually got a ring light. I hate ring lights because of glasses like you, they get in your eyeballs. And so I've got mine. I wish I should have switched cameras to show it, but I've got mine pointing up at the ceiling just to deflect the light back down right now, just to play around with what it looks like. What do you use? You have a couple of lights. I see one light behind you right now. Like, what do you use?
That's my practical light. That's just for the thing. I have a light on the ceiling, which is why I have a soft glow on my head right here. That again separates you a little bit of space. It's a $30 like flat panel from Amazon, but it just hung from the ceiling. Okay. I have what they would call a beauty dish back in the day. It's a parabolic dome that actually has a light hiding in it, but it used to be an umbrella. Umbrellas are absolutely fine. That is probably one of the best ways. Like if you were going mad cheap, you could buy daylight balance, really bright lights from Home Depot, shine it through a $30 umbrella, and you'd have the same look as this $1,500 light right here.
Yeah, because the thing with the umbrella, what I like about when I do it without I've tried it with and without, the umbrella just like puts too much shadow on everything, where the umbrella diffuses it quite a bit.
And that's what you want. You want a big soft light. And another thing a lot of people don't realize, you kind of want it closer to you.
Yeah, I can touch mine. They're right here.
Yeah, they're right here. Yeah, everybody thinks that they're supposed to be far away and super huge. No, pull it close to you, put a diffuser on it, and it's just better. My glare is mostly coming from my screens, but yeah, I mean, yeah. One big light at a 45-degree angle across your face is known as Rembrandt light. You get the small little triangle on the cheek.
Yep.
Or the butterfly light, as they used to call it, because of the butterfly under your nose. You can't see mine, I have a mustache. But to me, that's the best light. That ring light, dead center front, deer in the headlights. No,
I don't like it.
I'm not a 20-year-old like TikTok influencer, so I would look really horrible. And they would be like, bruh, please turn that light off. And I'm like, yes, yeah.
And with glasses too, it makes it harder. So that's why I won this one from VidChops. Shout out to VidChops. I won it in a contest. I'm like, I want to play around with it, but sometimes the light on it's, I don't like how it feels. But there's smaller LED lights. Yep. Like I've got some, I still haven't used them yet, from Newer, that are really super bright, that I'm thinking I may try them 1 week to see what they look like. But even if you just got the natural light from your window and it's daytime in front of you, that does a world of wonder.
The only problem with daytime light from the window is you got to be very careful with timing, depending on where you are. See, I'm in the tropics, so 10 minutes different light. When you're not, and actually because you're lower south, your light changes in like a 15-minute window. That's some nerd science stuff. Jay Watts can tell you for sure. She's a weather lady,
right?
But yeah, you got to be careful. If you live in the north, you good. You probably got like an hour on the same light, but
or it's the summer in Texas where it's always just sunny and hot. Yeah, that'd be
you
just melt. But I had to do my show once from a hotel room in St. Louis when I was speaking at MDMC, and I didn't have lights at work, so I just pulled open the curtains of the sliding door and set myself where the camera was. My face was pointed towards the window. Of course, that light was so stinking bright, but it filled the room. It made me look good. But then the bad thing was, like you mentioned, a cloud came rolling.
Yep.
And then it's like dark in the room.
Let me tell you the
hotel room.
I'm going to tell you the hotel book lighting trick. What you just said is sort of known as book lighting, including taking your lights and bouncing them off the ceilings. That's known as book lighting. So, man, in San Diego, I have to do this video, and I open a hotel window and it's great, but it's kind of dark to one side of the room. Put the suitcase on the table, cover it with the towel from the bathroom. The light bounces from the window off of that, covers this side of the face. Now you don't look like a dork anymore.
Yeah, I rearranged my entire hotel room, put all my lights around me. Yeah, there's all and you couldn't see it on camera. No one knew.
Nope. And so, even for the audio, just tuck all the towels in the room, stuff it behind your mic so you don't get weird echoes from the window.
Yeah, that's true. Now, speaking of mics, I mean, I think you and I probably both agree an XLR mic is the way to go. And there's different arguments about, Rodecaster, or I'm a Heil PR40. I don't know what are you using, a Rode?
I'm using a pod mic.
Okay. What is it called? What's the brand? Pod mic?
Rode. It's okay. Rode. That and Rodecaster together is like a set, and it just sounds fantastic.
But you can. I mean, if you're just getting started, a USB mic will do the job.
This is $50.
It'll be limited.
This is $50. It is USB, but it's also XLR.
Yeah.
And this is called the Samsung Q2U. If you look there on the bottom, there's the USB. And the XLR, and the other hole, I was going to say puka, make Hawaiian words, is a headphone jack. And for the budget, there's nothing greater.
Yeah.
And it'll make your life super simple. And yeah, it just works. Lurie and I just did a full breakdown on microphones yesterday. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to dive in that long because I know I saw that show where you were talking about it because you were showing what she had and stuff. But get started with something. If you can use an XLR and you can use a soundboard or a mixer to get it in, you're gonna have a much better. That's what I'm using. I've got a Behringer mixer. It's only a 4-channel. It's small. It's all I need. It just comes right in. I can track and play around with it.
Behringer's like $89. It's not even expensive.
No, it's not at all. And I went and originally because I've always had the Heil PR40 for the longest time. I used to use a little Shure. I don't forget what it's even called. Sure, it converted it over to USB so I could plug it in my laptop.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked, but I always would have a little popping sound every once in a while or a hiss, and then that thing just went out. So I moved to that, and I'm like, oh, why didn't we do this in the beginning? Because that little Shure thing was like $60.
Yep.
So I might as well have bought the Behringer to start with. But USB mics will work if that's what you got, but you're not going to as good of a sound. You're going to pick up different noises.
Well, okay, so nowadays though, the sound quality is basically the same nowadays on a modern USB mic, except for the Yeti. Yetis are horrible. But like the new Shure MV7, like they've done some stuff to make it better. But your primary concern is USB will just let go. Your keyboard disconnects when it feels like. So does your mouse. So does your hard drives. So why would you trust that to your audio? That's what it's really about. Right. Nowadays they do have circuitry and stuff built in. The Wave, Elgato Wave 3. There are some fantastic USB mics out there, but you have to deal with the fact that power will disappear if for no reason. And you be like, blame my software. No, it's your USB mic, and USB cables can just break up your whole thing.
Yeah, they will. So, they will. Like I know from especially on the MacBook, I've got everything plugged into it. Through their ports, and sometimes that USB just gets too hot and quits working on me. I'm like,
I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. So I mean, choose a mic that fits your needs. I do think if you're going to go on a live show, a scissor arm, with a shock absorber for your microphone is a necessity because you're going to it keeps you from hearing all the stuff if you bang on your desk and move it around and. Some kind of filter. I like a screen filter. You've got the sock basically.
Yep.
That's what I call them anyway. So something on there helps that sound that comes out when you spit all over it.
Plosive.
Yeah, your plosive peas. Peter Piper picked a pickle. Yeah. So start out somewhere, but no, you're gonna have to invest as you mean like the Heil PR40. I don't know how much it is anymore.
It's $349.
Yeah, somewhere around. Of course, COVID made everything go up. Seems like everybody want to go live.
It's such a great mic though.
It is. I've loved it from podcasts to live videos, and I can do a lot with it. I've noticed too when I do podcasts, I get really close when I'm podcasting.
Amy, no Bluetooth, but if you're going to go wireless, because I do use mine in my wood shop, I use a Rode Wireless Go. It's not Bluetooth; it's using radio. The reason for Bluetooth is that signal is too easily interfered with by something as random as turning on the light. Like Bluetooth can just go goofball. So no Bluetooth. Use something like the Rode Wireless Go and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and even like I used to use, and I don't use them. I'm wired now with headphones that are going around me and over and plugged into the long cord. I used to use a Bluetooth headset, man, even that would interfere with my microphone sometimes, or it would just go out. I'm like, oh, or I forgot to charge it or whatever. And so you got to worry about that sort of stuff. Or it picks up, it's connected to your phone too, and then your phone starts playing something. And
that's the one. Your phone will just grab it for no reason. It's like, no, not now.
I didn't want you to do that. So I mean, I think a wired mic is going to be better in the long run. For sure. And we could keep talking about equipment till we're blue in the face, but get started with some stuff, get the bare minimums to get going if that's all you can afford, and then kind of move your way up to better things. Like I'm really thinking this week I'm going to try my phone instead of my webcam and see what the difference is. Yeah, I need to. Just a matter of switching things up and getting the right cords and all that good stuff. But so we talked about a whole lot, and we've already gone over our time that I scheduled, Doc. But Doc, we've got a little fun segment that we do here on Social Media Lab that I call 5 questions, and I have a really funny and embarrassing intro video that I play. So here we go.
5 questions! It's 5 questions!
5 questions! Yes, it is my voice on that. So 5 questions is basically where I ask my guests some very random questions that have nothing to do with marketing. We're done talking about YouTube Live for now. And these are sponsored by, I say sponsored, it's not really sponsored. They just gave me the decks for free. But poddexlab.com, if you go over there, you can buy their deck. They have these decks of cards. I have them all. I don't know if you've seen these before, Shawn.
I have seen pod decks. I think they're dope.
I have tons of these decks, but they also have an app. And the app, their app's got even more on it. There's a monthly subscription, and Travis is giving away all kinds of cool stuff. But so I'm going to ask you 5 random questions. I don't think you'll pass on anything I ask you, but I will, like, if I see one that's kind of like risque, I won't ask it. Just keep it PG.
Those are the best ones.
That's true. I think you would answer them honestly too. So I'm gonna do the ones from the interview deck because I think you'll give me some insight. And I haven't looked at these. You can see I'm just gonna pull them off, and I'm gonna see what the first question. All right. So, question 1, 5 questions with Doc Rock. What do you consider your greatest achievement?
My greatest achievement. I was in this race one time. It was like really small. I was in this race. There was about 5 million of us in the race, and I won.
What kind of race was it?
We were swimming.
Okay. To
the egg.
All right. So question 2, 5 questions with Doc Rock. I was going to show it to you, like you could see it.
Dude, I showed you these glasses, Scott. Come on, dude.
What's the favorite thing you've bought this year?
Ooh, my favorite thing that I've bought this year. Well, this year is so short, but
What is that?
It is a Mac Mini M1 Variety, 16 gigabytes, ready to plug in to the old Cam of Ease.
Now, that looks pretty complicated, but
it's just a Mac Mini. It's a small little tiny computer.
I didn't know they had those. Yeah. All right. So question 3, 5 questions with Doc Rock. When you think about success, who comes to your mind and why?
Ooh, that is such a difficult question. Probably the first person that comes to mind for me would probably be Seth Godin, because I just love me some Seth. Like for years, from way back, Purple Cow, Free Prize Inside, I've absorbed Seth forever, and I love that man to death. I think he's seriously one of the greatest out there, especially in our field, which is marketing.
Good answer. All right, so question 4 with Doc Rock on 5 questions. Who'd play you in a movie, Doc?
Vin Diesel.
Like you had that answered ready. Like you've been ready to say that for a long time.
You don't need that much makeup.
And he already lost his hair. All right, final question. 5 questions with Doc Rock. This one's a little deeper, so get ready. What will people look back at us 50 years from now and be shocked and appalled by?
The way that we dance on TikTok.
See, I thought you were gonna go deep, but yeah,
No,
that's probably good.
I was going to go deep, but I got to keep it light because I don't want to go into the other stuff because it's
Oh,
depressing.
well, yeah, you're more than welcome to though. Yeah. All right. So, Doc, I appreciate you being on the show. It's good to hang out with you. And Doc's got, I mean, all kinds of places you can find him. I put a link to your YouTube channel in the comments. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel. You're up to like what, like almost 8,000 subscribers right now.
Very close, very
Getting
close.
really, really close. We got to push you over that 8,000
I
subscribers.
want to plan for my 10,000 pretty soon. I want to make a big old party.
You should,
Have
yeah.
some folks come by. You know, you can come in, pop in real quick, and be like, "Oh, I met Doc when he was at 2,000 subscribers." No, I'm just joking.
But yeah, you also got like a Facebook group. What is it? Let's Get Live.
Let's get live. Let's get live. So basically, what we do in Let's Get Live is we take the folks that have caught the bug hardcore. Like we do help out beginners,
Right.
but if you're coming to us because you're planning on going there. I tell people I'm the difference between the guy at the links that just shows you how to hit the golf ball. I'm coming in on some Bruce Harmon, Hank Haney. Like I'm trying to turn you into Tiger.
Yeah.
So if you're about being Tiger, if you want, look, I got the sweatshirt. You want some Bill Belichick level coaching? Come in, and we're going to push you hard until you look like Scott.
Well,
minus the orange wig.
Minus the orange wig. Yeah. And is that a group open for anybody, everybody?
Absolutely. I'll let you in there.
Well, that's true. That's
I mean,
true.
come on, dude.
That
No, it's
says a
open.
lot
It's
right there.
open for anyone, especially anyone who really, really like. I love the streaming thing. I get it. I know where I'm going. Or even if you don't know where you're going, but you know you want to be there.
Right.
Like we want to get the serious streamers. Like if you're a toe tapper, whatever, we'll help you. But I'm really looking for the guys that are committed to the streaming thing because we do tend to talk deep, but we definitely have some brand new absolute beginners in our group. And it's funny because the guys that came in early as early beginners now like 2 weeks into the group and they're in the middle already because they came in knowing that they were going to get the high potency learning, and we're fun. We just have a blast in there.
They do. Like there's a lot of inside jokes. Sometimes you got to figure those out. I've learned that. And like, what? I missed on something. Yeah, you talk about FOMO. But yeah, you guys are always talking about some cool stuff. So I put a link to it. It is a private group, so you'll have to get approved to get in. But I like private groups a lot because it kind of no one else will see it in my feed when I'm talking in there and going crazy or whatever.
You know what it was for me? Kelly got me onto the bot, and so I made the bot so that people answer the questions, and that's one of the reasons why I turned it private. But again, I'm with you. Like I got folks who want to have a chance to let loose and be with that family, and that so you can't come into your group and be like, "Oh, my family's driving me crazy. I need to come and hang out with you guys," because then they can read it. But in my group, you can come and tell us all the things you're mad about your family because we'll just hug you and love you.
Very, very true. Well, Doc, I appreciate you being on today's show with me, and I look forward to doing more stuff with you in the future.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
And that'll do it for this week's episode of the Social Media Lab Live. Make sure you run over to agorapolslab.com to read all of our experiments. We published 2 recently on some ad experiments, which are a lot of fun, and hopefully you do that. And I will see you guys all next week right here. See ya.